I just realized this when I started the video that this is yet another movie with a big, giant killer monster. Okay, let's get into it. Project Metal Beast.
Kim Delaney, Barry Bostwick in Metal Beast.
Project Metal Beast was directed by Alessandro De Gaetano, and he's only made like 5 other movies, but they all sound amazing. So I'm going to read off a couple of his other films. Butch Camp, which I'm sure that's not problematic at all. UFO Target Earth. Haunted, 1977. Scoring. And then finally, Bloodbath in Psychotown, which sounds pretty great. I guess it goes under another title. When Troma released it, it was something like Psychopunks and Bloodtown, something like that. I love personally going on IMDb and looking up reviews that either it was somebody that worked on the production that wants to kind of clear some stuff up, or say, hey, you know, this is a good film. I worked on it and I had fun. I must admit, I had fun doing it, and it was a great learning experience for me, but in the end, it turned very sour. How, you ask? Well, De Gaetano ended up splitting town and failed to pay everyone thousands of dollars in back pay, owed to many of the crew. I don't know about the cast. The tramp he imported from LA, by the way, was a complete snob, and I had to put up with her BS for an entire month, which sucked. The 2 stiffs are boring as hell and thought they were God's gift or something. But he ripped off thousands of dollars! A few of us planned on a lawsuit, but it never materialized. So, again, my apologies to anyone who had to sit through this revolting quagmire. God bless and have a nice day. It paints kind of a negative picture of this director, that he's kind of a huckster and maybe not the greatest of people. So we have Project Metal Beast. Despite the director, it's a very, at least from my view, it's a very tongue-in-cheek, trying to be a B-movie. It's not ashamed whatsoever, but it's also very cheap, and it knows it's cheap, but it's slick. So I don't want to cast a shade on it and say that it's super cheap, because it is cheap, but there's a certain sheen to this movie. I'll get into it. So we have CIA agent Donald Butler, who is this actor John Marzilli, who character actor has been in tons of stuff, but here's one acting credit of note. His very first acting credit, at least on IMDb, is Surf 2. So Surf 2, the end of the trilogy, great movie. So we have CIA agent Donald Butler, and the movie starts off with a scroll reading this mission, what these 2 CIA agents are up to. Basically, they're going to a church to find a werewolf and extract its blood for reasons. To create a super soldier, I believe it says in the scroll. So they go to this church, and they're looking around, and wouldn't you know it, there is a really extremely buff werewolf. Like, this werewolf has the most incredible abs. That's part of the job. He knew what he was getting into. So he gets attacked really brutally. And, another thing I wanted to mention, that I'm pretty sure in this scene where the werewolf attacks one of the CIA agents right at the beginning in the church, I'm pretty sure the person in the werewolf outfit is Kane Hodder, and then he is also the Project Metal Beast later in the film. So this is the first time we see Kane Hodder. If I'm wrong, someone tell me, but I'm pretty sure, because it's the same body type and it looks pretty much exactly the same as the werewolf we see later in the movie. The CIA agent that doesn't get attacked, Donald Butler, shoots the werewolf and then pulls out his little bag of tricks, his little medical container bag, and starts sucking blood right out of the werewolf. He gets it and takes it back to the CIA kind of medical research facility, and he brings it back to his boss, who is played by Barry Bostwick.
Why is it that every time you take matters into your own hands, you screw things up? You've made enough enemies around here. People don't trust you.
Why? Because of Greg's death? I didn't have any time.
Stop.
I had seen this movie before, I think, at least in passing or bits and pieces of it, but I completely forgot that Barry Bostwick is in it, and he is, oh boy.
You'll have to excuse us, Doctor, but we're all under a lot of pressure here. We need an answer.
So, the whole point of this, the whole point of the mission to go to Hungary, to the church, and get werewolf blood is to create super soldiers. So, Miller, who's this higher up in the CIA, really wants this to happen, like big time. This is a great idea. And so basically his motivation throughout the rest of the movie is, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make super soldiers out of this werewolf blood no matter what. It just goes to such a degree that it just does not make any sense at all and is just completely laughable. They start doing testing and they're seeing what they can do. I don't know, what do you do to blood? You put it in the spinny tube. So Miller, his boss, and Butler are both like, when can we start testing? When can we start doing this shit? Like, we want to start making these werewolf soldiers right away. We need werewolf soldiers on the front lines in Iraq. So Miller and Butler are both kind of like, we need to get this going. You know, hurry up with your testing. And the doctor's like, no, you can't inject this werewolf blood into human beings because it will make their skin explode, and you shouldn't do that because that's not really nice. And they're like, no, we need this blood. You need to release it to us. And Butler, while Miller is talking to the doctor, goes in the back and like pulls out a vial. Needless to say, Butler grabs some werewolf blood and, you know, privates it away and goes off to his own special area. And for whatever dumb fuck reason, decides to inject it in his own veins. So I guess him and Miller can work on it together somehow. I don't know. Either way, he does it. Immediately, he turns into a fucking werewolf. He's running around the CIA research lab, whatever, throwing people around, and then Barry Bostwick, Miller, comes out and shoots him multiple times. With silver bullets, because at least we're sticking to that rule in the werewolf legend. Miller comes out, Barry Bostwick shoots Butler Wolf, and he goes down, and then 20 years later into the future, which is 94, which is when the movie came out, basically. So the present. So we're back at the CIA research facility because, you know, they only had the one set. They're not going to build a whole other set. Whatever. We're back at the same one, and we have Anna DiCarlo, who is another CIA research scientist, and she is working on bioferrin, which is this metal-based synthetic skin, which why are we putting metal in the equation at all when we're making synthetic skin? Why is that a thing? So anyway, bioferrin is what she's working on. She's been working on it for a while. We see, when we first see her, she's just poking at like a weird kind of gooey piece of meat and just poking that thing. We have her boss, who's always, he's kind of the pudgier general type. I don't know if that's exactly a type, but he kind of makes it a type, if that makes any sense.
Where do you get off coming down here and disrupting our work?
There's a couple other research assistants here and there. They're all, you know, pretty terrible actors, I'm not gonna lie. But Anna DiCarlo is played by Kim Delaney, who we all know, great actress, has been in loads of stuff, continues to be in stuff. So we have Kim Delaney, and she's working on this synthetic skin, and we get Barry Bostwick, who's 20 years older, but basically they just kind of grade his hair up a little bit. But he's back. He's back, or he's always been there. But suddenly he has decided that he wants to be a part of this bioferrin synthetic skin research project. So he's putting his full power into it. So they all kind of have to answer to him. Basically, he kind of muscles his way in and says, hey, I have some great cadavers that you could use for your bioferrin experiments. So you're just going to use those and not ask any questions, and here you go. So he brings in some corpses that he gets down in a cooled basement, like a cryo freezer that looks like it's holding multiple bodies, but he only takes one out, which is our friend Butler, who is in a state of deadness. They put Butler on the operating table, or the experimentation table, I guess you could call it. They start applying the skin to him everywhere he needs it, everywhere it's torn up, or just replacing basically all of his skin with this bioferrin synthetic metal skin. I'm going to be saying bioferrin a lot. Anyway, it's metal skin, which makes no sense, because why do you want metal skin? So I forgot to say, Anna DiCarlo is working on this for cancer patients and burn victims. So you guys out there, if you need skin, I guess you're gonna get metal skin. Barry Bostwick brings in that body of our friend Butler, and they start working on it, and they notice that there's some embalmer's wax on his chest, and they kind of peel it off.
This is mortician's wax. Get some gauze.
And then they noticed all these bullet shots in his chest, and they start pulling out the bullets, the silver bullets. And of course, immediately, Butler wakes up, starts freaking the fuck out, and just throwing everything around and going nuts and, you know, wolfing out. I know you gotta keep some stuff from these CIA people, but you want to tell them to keep the silver bullets in the body so that it doesn't start coming alive, killing people. They get it sedated, and there's a lot of back and forth between the general in charge, Kim Delaney, Anna DiCarlo's character, and they're like, why are we working on this guy? This makes no sense. We should not be working on this cadaver. He's clearly alive, and there's something crazy wrong with him. And Barry Bostwick is just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it just kind of goes on back and forth for a little while, and that definitely gets a little too much. At some points you're kind of like, okay, just get the movie going. I want to see that Metal Beast again because, oh my god, I love the Metal Beast. I'm just going to say, a big draw of this movie is the Metal Beast. So, pretty smart that they put it in the title.
In Metal Beast.
So, what we know is going to happen in this movie, of course, happens, which the wolfs out again with his new synthetic skin all attached to his body. He wolfs out again, and now he looks crazy different, like way more crazier than the original werewolf. This is like, they took that werewolf costume and they just made it, they just gave that meth. So this new werewolf, it has like porcupine spikes, it's got scarier face, eviler face, and just like bigger claws, and it just goes fucking nuts. And when it gets to that point, this movie becomes so incredibly worth all the rest. You're not waiting for very long scenes of dialogue between Barry Bostwick and the general, or Barry Bostwick and Kim Delaney, and those are fine. And that's why they got Barry Bostwick, because he's fun to watch and he's fun as a villain. And in this, he does make an interesting villain, but it runs very cold after a while, and you're kind of like, oh my god, get to this Metal Beast!
My God, he's ripped his throat out. I'm trained to defend my country. I don't know how the system produces scum like you.
What system? The old ways don't exist anymore, General. Here I am trying to make your job easier, and all you do is resent me for it. It's just so confusing, isn't it?
Bullshit.
So despite the whole skin thing not making a hell of a lot of sense, it's cool. I'm glad they got there in the end. I'm glad Alessandro Del Gaetano made this movie, because it's fun. It's a great werewolf update, I guess. It's clearly not the Wolfman. It's clearly not Benicio del Toro in a really expensive version of the Wolfman. This I would see 100 times before I would see the Benicio del Toro one, because it was just, it didn't pretend to be anything else. It's clearly a movie about a werewolf with metal skin that is extremely hard to kill. So in the very end, they learn that the best thing to do, and I think this is very smart when you're dealing with a metal beast, particularly if it's a werewolf with metal skin, they get all the silver they can find, which thankfully, just in the general's room, which is one of 4 sets in this entire movie, they find a bunch of rare antique coins and metals, and they melt that down. They create these giant silver tips for rocket launchers. And so instead of a silver bullet, it's a silver rocket launcher that they shoot at the werewolf. And it's incredible. So, see it for King and Hodder has multiple werewolves, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they hired another person to play that werewolf from Hungary, because why? Why would you hire another werewolf when you need a huge dude to play your werewolf? Donald Butler is great as the CIA agent. He's just constantly looks like he wants to kick somebody's ass throughout this movie, and then he becomes a werewolf and he kicks ass. And then Barry Bostwick, great. Kind of overdoes it a little bit, but doesn't he always? So if you love Barry Bostwick from Rocky Horror or any of his other stuff, you'll love him here. Kim Delaney, she's really, in this movie, she's the only one that's taking this movie seriously, which works on a weird level. Because everyone else is either a very bad actor or they know they're in a terrible movie and they're giving their B-movie performance. But Kim Delaney is just giving a straight performance with terrible, a terrible script. Other than that, there's not a lot of locations in this movie. It's basically a lot of interiors of a CIA research facility. There's a scene in a church, like I said before, which is kind of exciting, but is over very quickly. Basically, see this movie for a giant werewolf attacking people, because that's what it is. And it's enjoyable as that movie. And if you're going to make a werewolf movie, make it scary, make it original, which this movie 100% did. I've never seen a werewolf with porcupine quills or a crazy metal face. So that is original. And so that's why I'm going to recommend it. And thank you so much for watching my review of Project Metal Beast. Yeah. Take care, everybody. Get vaccinated. Keep wearing masks. And love you all.
Why is it that every time you take matters into your own hands, you screw things up? You've made enough enemies around here. People don't trust you.
Why? Because of Greg's death? I didn't have any time.
Stop.